You know how when you hear a good story, you want to share it with someone else? Well, that's how we feel here at Milwaukee PBS. On this episode of the Arts Page, we spotlight creativity you can find on our local shows. Visit Milwaukee's historic Pabst Mansion and enjoy some of their Victorian-inspired holiday decorations. See how local photographer Freddie Hernandez captures colorful and meaningful moments in Milwaukee's Latino community. Listen to the soulful sounds that these musical sisters bring to classical instruments. And browse bobbleheads of all kinds inside the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum, founded right here in Milwaukee. That's all coming up now on the Arts Page. Welcome to the Arts Page. I'm Sandy Maxx, and here at Milwaukee PBS, we are a community of storytellers. Just like the features on art and artists you see here on the Arts Page, each of our local programs proudly share the creativity you can find around our community. We begin with a return visit to Milwaukee's Pabst Mansion. This grand, historic home of beer baron Captain Frederick Pabst is a beautiful time capsule of architectural designs. 'Tis the season, so let's take a visit and see how the Pabst Mansion transforms for the holidays.
The Pabst Mansion is really a terrific place to touch on Wisconsin history and Milwaukee history. This is truly a gem that Milwaukee has adored and appreciated for such a long period of time, and how we've been able to really bring back the artwork, the wall coverings, all the restoration that has been done to reflect back to when that family actually lived in this home.
It was when Captain Pabst married Maria Best in 1862 that they settled here. He invested half of his fortune into his father-in-law's brewing company and purchased a half interest in the Philip Best Brewing Company. That really firmly made Milwaukee his home base, and he committed himself to the life of a brewer. In 1889, they changed the name from Best to Pabst. I've always thought that the Pabst Mansion kind of represents kind of the culmination of his life's work, the Pabst family's arrival in Milwaukee society at that point. The Pabst Mansion's 20,000 square feet. 8,000 square feet was for the family, 12,000 square feet was for the staff. So it is known as kind of the second largest home to have been built in Milwaukee. And so as you go through each of the rooms in the house, you'll see that each room is assigned its own architectural identity. So we have French Rococo in Mrs. Pabst's parlor, Venetian Renaissance Revival in the music room, Louis XV in the dining room, and this room we have 17th century German Renaissance. And it goes on through the house like that. And so to me, that's kind of like the best Gilded Age American ideal of sweeping up 300 years of European architectural history and then dropping it into one house. But I think it's done very successfully.
Holiday season at the Peps Mansion always starts mid-November and runs through early January. So the rooms you're going to see are the same you'll see year-round, but they are transformed into sort of a Christmas wonderland. So we add trees, garland, lights. We have a real Victorian theme that we always try to stick to, and we sort of run with it. So it's going to look pretty modern, but there's usually a touch of something that would have been here when Captain and Mrs. Pabst were in the space, whether it's a certain type of ornament, the way the garlands are hung, or a little unique touch, and it changes every year. So if people like to come back year after year, if they're really into Christmas, it will always look different. The only thing that's ever the same is the tree at the grand staircase. Changes decor, but it's always in the same location. We really like to tie that in to the family story, but also to give people that are touring through something different to look at every year.
If anybody is looking to see what Milwaukee could produce in the 1890s, this is the perfect example. That kind of showcases Milwaukee at its very best.
The Pabst Mansion will be in all its holiday splendor through early January. Learn much more about the mansion and the Pabst family at their official website, pabstmansion.com. For over 20 years, Milwaukee PBS's ADELANTE show has focused on topics of particular interest to our growing Latino community, all presented in both Spanish and English. ADELANTE producer Salvador Gomez brings us the story of photographer Freddie Hernandez and how growing up in Milwaukee influenced his very first solo art exhibition.
My name is Freddie Hernandez, and I am from Managua, Nicaragua. Photography for me is more than just work. It's my passion. It's a new start to every day. Telling a story, but at the same time, telling a message. Each shot has a different story for everybody.
Freddie Hernandez is a Milwaukee-based artist and photographer who immigrated from Nicaragua to the United States when he was 13 years old and who had an interest for the visual arts since he was very young.
I became interested in photography in an early age. I used to look at a lot of magazines, especially National Geographic magazines, and I used to love just looking at these pictures and just wonder how they were taken and where they were taken. And so my interest for photography started very early. I didn't actually start shooting till my mid-20s.
Over the years, Freddie has developed a passion for landscape photography, as well as an interest to showcase the rich culture of Latinos like himself through his camera lens.
So the purpose of Mila's Walk here is to showcase some of our Latino culture here in Milwaukee, along with some of my landscape work.
In his first exhibition, Más de Mil Walk Aquí, Freddie captivates the beauty of Milwaukee with a visual observation on how Hispanics contribute to making the city a more diverse and beautiful place.
It's a small representation of the Latin community and the diversity that we have here in Milwaukee, alongside with some of my landscape work, which is one of my passions. It shows a little bit of the beauty of Milwaukee and the Latino culture to show that we are just more than the stereotypes that we see nowadays about Latinos, that we're family oriented, that we like to have fun, we're passionate about our sports, overall that we're good people.
So the name of the exhibit is Más de Mil Walk Aquí, which is a play on Milwaukee, which translates to more than thousands walk here. And we decided to do that because we wanted to capture that idea of how the Latino community is growing here in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee being this amazing city that it's, has been around for such a long time, but it's always had this influx of immigrants. And Latinos being an immigrant community and a growing one, we wanted to kind of show that kind of permanent place that is Milwaukee and this growing, budding community of Latinos that continues to contribute to it.
I started photography about 14 years ago now.
Freddie Hernandez is an up-and-coming photographer. He's been doing commercial work for the beginning part of his career, but now he's doing more of the fine arts world type of photography. And he's somebody who is self-taught, but yet has developed an amazing eye for photography, and is very much evident in the exhibit.
My work in this exhibition does have a personal connection to my background here growing up in Milwaukee. A lot of stuff that you see on the walls here today, I grew up around. For example, the picture of the clock tower means a lot to me because when we first moved here, we lived close by it, and I can relate to it. And a lot of people can. You think of Milwaukee, one of the iconic symbols is the clock tower, the Allen Bradley clock tower, four-phase clock. Another photograph that means a lot to me is the one of the boxer punching at the punching bag. He reminded me of my childhood here. I used to come here to UCC when I was a teenager and used to play basketball, and just coming here to photograph this kid just took me back when I was at that age. And in my mind, it's a representation of hope. Hope for everybody that were Latino backgrounds that come here. The sky is the limit. And that picture represents that for me because there's a lot of emotion behind it. And I'm a very passionate person about what I do. And a lot of my pictures, I want to represent that from the people so people get inspired to do what they really love in life.
For Freddie Hernandez, understanding the Latino culture through his photographs is just as important as the message that these images represent.
When it comes to photography, one of the main things is telling a story. For example, in this photo, I was down at the 5th Ward and I saw Salvador, a paletero. So I started talking to him. He explained to me that he's been doing that for 30 years. Little did I know was that both of his legs were gone. So it just inspired me more to take a photo of him and kind of represent the hard working behind our Latino people.
I think Freddie has a really keen eye for places and people and capturing a sentiment or a narrative in a single still image. And I think that's something that's really powerful and unique to him. He's developed over the years to have a really great sense of situations and color, and he's able to capture a very beautiful story through his images.
I think it was a total of 70 pictures that we had to go through to pick the ones that we decided to post on the walls. And it was a hard process because it was a lot to show. It was a lot to show, but we narrowed it down to 25 of them. And I wanted to show just a little bit of everything and make it beautiful. Well, first off, I want to say it feels amazing to have my first exhibition. My first solo exhibition, and I'm super humbled about it too. When Latino Arts approached me, actually my heart just skipped a beat because when I first started photography, I did not see myself doing this, getting to this point, and it means a lot. A lot of people have shown me support, and I'm very thankful. I'm very humbled for the opportunity.
I think that Freddie did a wonderful job capturing that spirit of perseverance and that inherent drive that Latinos have to keep working and contributing to the place that they make their home. The growing population of Latinos here in Milwaukee is a reflection of that. We like to set our roots deep and wide. And that I think this exhibit captures that. It allows you to get individuals in the community in a very personal way through an image, which is quite powerful.
As Freddie Hernandez continues to develop his passion for photography, he hopes that his work will motivate others to have an even better appreciation for other cultures, as well as the beautiful images that life brings to our surroundings.
Photography is really important for me because it represents who I really am. Every day I get to do something different, and I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about telling a story, but at the same time, telling a message. As a photographer, we all are always telling stories. That's a given. But in my case, I want to inspire people to get out of their normal routines. Just take a break from life and enjoy the beauty around us, the people around us, and just live life to the fullest.
Although Freddie Hernandez's exhibition Más de Mil Walk Aquí has wrapped up at Latino Arts, you can see more of his photographic and commercial work on his website, fnjproductions.com. Another long-running Milwaukee PBS local show in its 28th year, BLACK NOUVEAU continues to tell the stories of the triumphs and transformation of our African American community, from politics to education, activists to artists. BLACK NOUVEAU producer Liddy Collins-Segrist introduces us to Sista Strings, a musical duo of sisters innovating soulful sounds with the traditional violin and cello.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
A cello and a violin make up this musical group called Sista Strings, whose sound is what they call soulful classic.
Sista Strings is just two sisters who grew up playing gospel music. We grew up learning classical music first, because a lot of what we do is combining different genres and just being creative.
They have played strings since they were kids. Shantae, 3 years of age, and Monique, 5.
So I played violin until I was about 9 and a half, 10, and I switched to cello. But when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I saw a recital where this guy was playing cello, another young student. It was a beautiful performance. I was like, I want to play that. And I begged for a couple of years, like, please, please get me a cello, please. And my dad was like, cello is for boys.
After much begging, they let her switch to play what she felt she was meant to play. They've even been street musicians, playing with their other siblings on Chicago's North Michigan Avenue, raising money for instruments.
We just got to post up on Michigan Avenue and play, and when we were younger, we did really well. Because, like, who isn't going to stop to look at some small little black girls?
4 little black girls who are sisters.
That's not the most average sight you would see.
Right.
So we started doing that a while ago. We still do it sometimes, you know, because it's wherever, as musicians, literally, we're always on the grind.
It's actually really beautiful to do that as artists because you meet a lot of different people.
Playing there, they met producers and other musicians.
We've met some good friends that we have now through doing that, which is cool.
Surely.
Yeah,
cool. Kanye West gave us $20 once.
He did. He did.
Sure did. Kevin Fishing. I didn't know who he was then.
They're passionate about social justice, and this naturally flows through their music.
We're a piece of the puzzle they try to put us under. But when that ain't work, better believe it was the muzzle. But see, I can't be sold. I'm just trying to evolve. They ain't gonna stop my flow. We just gonna let them blow. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
We find it best to just come from our hearts and just try to go to the next person. We just pretty much just are unapologetically black wherever we go. And how whatever situation we're in, we've just found that to be a beautiful way to connect with other people, and then allow that connection to maybe cross over to how you connect with other people who look like us.
Absolutely.
You see? But that's how we do.
Their musical inspiration comes from a variety of places, but one place in particular, their mom.
Because she did go through so much from her childhood, and seeing how strong of a black woman she is now, and how she raised us, and how she was so committed to her family and to her husband and to her kids, and making sure we knew, first of all, what it was to be a strong black woman in the United States, in Milwaukee, all of this, and giving us strength as far as just like how you live your life.
And that passion continues in their want to diversify the arts, so the "what are you doing here" moments can be avoided.
Growing up as a black classical string player, there was probably about 2 or 3 other young students in my entire career of learning, and just in Milwaukee, you know. So I really didn't get to see or know that I was supposed to be doing this. It seemed odd. You know, I would come into a competition and get stares from everybody. Everybody would stop playing it. What are you doing in here?
Exactly.
Well, I'm a violinist here to compete, same as you.
Same even in college, though.
Yeah, in college as well. So really, that's where my passion and strive is, that we can do anything that we want to, as long as you're doing it honestly and with hard work. Just do it. That's my main purpose, and especially with young women and young women of color.
The ladies of Sista Strings have performed with contemporary pop music artists, as well as on stage with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra and at Carnegie Hall. Listen to more of their music online at their official website, SistaStrings.com. Finally, Milwaukee PBS's longest-running program is Outdoor Wisconsin. And the show's main focus is Wisconsin's outdoor sporting, conservation, and recreational activities, but you'll also see some entertaining art stories. Dan Small has been Outdoor Wisconsin's host since the show began in 1984, and now he takes us to a unique museum in Milwaukee that just may leave you shaking your head.
We've come indoors today to the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. It's in Milwaukee, and I'm talking with co-founder Phil Sklar. Phil, you've got a lot of bobbleheads here.
Yeah, there's about 6,500 unique bobbleheads from all different genres and periods. The world's largest collection right here in one spot, and there's actually almost 10,000 in the collection. So this is, 2/3 of the collection. We have more so we can rotate in and out, and as new bobbleheads are made each year and given away almost every day from all the different sports, we'll continue to get those and add them into the collection and have some special exhibits as well. Bobblehead started out as just a hobby for me and the other co-founder, Brad. Something that we enjoyed. We both are big sports fans, so we traveled after college trying to go to all the different Major League Baseball stadiums, and we'd pick up bobbleheads and go to museums and do the tourist attractions and come back with a few bobbleheads. Then we'd start going online and trading and buying and selling, and I've always been a collector. My dad collected baseball cards growing up and through my childhood, so I've had that collector mentality, I guess you could say, and the collection grew slowly over time. 1960, 61 was when the first sports bobbleheads were produced, and that's really what started the bobblehead craze. Those were bobbleheads that were available at stadiums across the country and at general stores where people could go and buy them for a quarter or a nickel. And so those were really what ignited the bobblehead craze. It's one of those things that they're fun, they're great to have around, no matter where you put them, the fan cave or your office. It's just one of those things, and there's always something new, which I think is what keeps it fresh. There's new moments, new plays, new players that keep it exciting. So there's sports, which has obviously dozens of subcategories, but then we have pop culture and movies, TV, music, political. There's animals, horror movies. There's holiday-themed bobbleheads. Really, anything and everything that's been made into bobblehead, you'll find a representation here.
Well, I'm sure Rogers is a fan favorite here. Is there a way that this hall is interactive with folks?
Yeah, so people can vote on which bobbleheads they think belong in the Hall of Fame and museum, in the Hall of Fame component of the museum. So if fans think that this Aaron Rodgers bobblehead with him doing his title belt motion is one of the best bobbleheads here, they can vote that into the Hall of Fame, and the Hall of Fame will really recognize the bobbleheads that are the best of the best, that are the most unique or the most influential in that nature.
Now, Phil, this isn't the world's largest bobblehead, but it's the biggest one in your collection.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the biggest in the world, but not the world's largest. But I think it's definitely big enough to get people get their attention and have a lot of fun with. So yeah, it's a replica of their founding member bobblehead, which our members receive. So it's made of using a 3D scan of the regular size bobblehead, and then from that they make this, and it's made here in the U.S. and painted, and will be sort of an exact replica of our founding member bobblehead.
Yeah. Now, how are these bobbleheads made?
Yeah, so basically we send specifications to our graphic designer who will put together a 2D rendering of what we want the bobblehead to look like, and sometimes we'll go through multiple iterations of changes and tweaks to make it look exactly how we want it. And then from there, a clay mold is hand sculpted by the factory. Once everything looks good, they're painted, and then if the painting looks good, they're mass produced.
Well, Phil, you mentioned new bobbleheads, and this isn't exactly new, but a couple of years ago, Milwaukee PBS decided to do one of me, and I'd like to present it to you, if you can find a place for it in your museum.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Well, yeah, we'll always have a place for special bobbleheads like this, and we'll have our area where people can look up and find more information about the bobblehead. So I'm sure people will be excited to find out more about you and see your bobblehead. Bobble's great, very nice bobblehead, and we're excited to add it to the collection. We're always looking to add new bobbleheads, especially fun, unique ones like this.
Come and see me in the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum.
Take Dan's advice and try to find his bobblehead among the many other interesting ones at the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum. See more of the bobbleheads on display on their website, bobbleheadhall.com. Stay updated on the arts page on the Milwaukee PBS website at milwaukeepbs.org or check out Milwaukee PBS on Facebook. I'm Sandy Maxx. Thank you for watching, and please join us next time for another half hour full of art on the arts page.